How you doing? I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to Mental Health Conversational Mental Health Mondays, or whenever time you get to hear this. I want to talk to you a little bit about I like to talk about things that's on my mind. And it has a lot to do with our mental health and emotional health, right? We tend to seem to get bogged down on what emotional health is. And with this Will Smith thing to seem to be so prevalent in these last weeks, a week, it just seems like it's been longer than what it is, but it's been a week or so, right? So I'm not going to pontificate or talk about the Will Smith particular on the whole Chris Rock thing, but I am going to talk about the reaction. And that's why I do emotional reaction training. People say, is it emotional intelligence? Well, if you don't understand your emotions, that's not very intelligent. I want to talk, but before I get there on the reaction, I want to talk about and refer to what we call is pain or discomfort. Our brain registers pain the same way we register our toe being slammed by an accident. If you've ever stumped your toe, right? If you ever stumped your toe and it really hurt, you're like, oh my God, my toe hurts. It's throbbing, and you're remembering the toe and how it got hit and what you kicked, and I didn't know it was there. And you start to make up all these things. Now, what happens if someone slammed your toe with a hammer and it was either done by accident or on purpose? The brain registers the pain the same way when it comes to the emotional pain. Really. It signifies it because that turns us into survival immediately. When pain happens, the survival instincts from our reptilian brain, which is our older part of our brain, kicks in and locks it in, because now it goes into where does the safety measure take place? How can I now protect my human form, my human body, this shell, for not being damaged again? Because remember, our brain is hardwired to register, to catalog, and then to help rectify. It happens all the time. Now, when we talk about conscious state and subconscious state, soon as a moment happens of pain, whether it be slamming your toe, someone hitting your toe with a hammer, or someone giving you a bad comment via words, the pain registers in the center part and the front prefrontal cortex the same way. Once it gets in there, where it goes from there has a lot to do with the subconscious contact and has a lot to do with the reptilian brain, because then it holds on to how can I avoid this and how can I stop this? And that's where the key parts come into what you call conscious cognitive state. How does the pain affect you and what can you do about it? Why reaction training comes into play is understanding how you are feeling, not so much how you're going to react. Because sometimes pain hurts so bad for people that it takes them out to what you call conscious movement and conscious action, right? We've seen the movie, we've read the books about someone hurting someone because they've been so overwhelmed with sadness and despair. Recent studies have shown that in the neuroscience part of the brain, and when we start studying the brain and how our chemistry are formed, is that we don't know what chemistries are being cataloged and where it's being cataloged on an individual basis. So we don't know how it gets triggered and how things get released inside the body. Those chemicals being released inside the body starts to trigger what you call an internal function, then in changes has an external action. Maybe feeling the pain, like someone hitting your toe and you slapping them or hitting them, saying, hey, get away from me. Why did you do that? And now it's protection. Well, emotions are the same way. People push out a lot of times physically when they're emotionally in pain. We heard the term hurt people hurt people. And This has nothing to do with someone meaning to hurt you. It could be accidentally hurt. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words shall never hurt me. Well, that term and that phrase is just not true. Words do hurt. We know that emotional pain is the same as physical pain, right? We know that emotional trauma is the same as physical trauma. It has just as much of a detriment to your body and to your spirit and to your brain as you do someone hitting you and bruising your body. Understanding how that has taken station up in your soul and your spirit, and how it has taken station up in your brain is very key, is a very key component to you living happy and hopefully. I'm not talking about not living without pain, but understanding how it's taken the station within it. I think a lot of times we are reacting because we are in pain and we're trying to reach out or reach in, dig a hole or to bury it. All of it's never good. Finding ways to express yourself and to relieve yourself. There are many techniques to release, and relieve your pain. Sometimes release isn't relieving. Sometimes relieving isn't releasing. So you have to understand that just because I release something doesn't mean I'm relieving it. Relieving it means to let it go. Doesn't mean forgetting. It means to let it go so it doesn't trigger the chemical response. Releasing means I release the chemical response, but I don't relieve it so it still holds a station within my mind or my body. Those attributes definitely needs to be focused on and to understood. And that's where the training comes in. That's why we martial artists have been doing this for thousands of years. Now, most people call it mindfulness training. We martial artists have been doing this forever, understanding how we feel about something when we move something, how we walk and how we breathe, how we take mind meditation, breathing techniques, healing from our crown to our lower chakra, changing our vibrational base into the internal from the external to the internal, thousands and thousands of centuries. This is not some new age yoga, breathe here, stretch here. We've been doing it for thousands of years. I'm glad most of the people are catching up now and is now putting in together what you call some of the practices. But a lot of the practices are being missed because they say release, but they don't understand the relieving. Some people say relieving, but they don't understand the release. And if they do the release and relieving, they don't understand where it's relieving from or releasing from. They don't understand how the connection of the different organs in the body is triggering a different chemical response in the brain, or how the chemical response in the brain is channeling down the vagus nerve. All these things do take an understanding, but it definitely takes a practice. But before you can practice it, you must be taught. I hope this little bit helps you. And I also want you to learn how to release, right? First, release. Excellent. I want you to learn how to release, relieve, and heal. Let's not forget about healing. Healing takes time. Often after that, you have release, relieve, and healing, but there's also time for mourning. Mourning is actually okay. It's okay for us to be sad. It's okay for us to feel some sense of sadness, and some sadness can be painful. But all painful isn't because of sadness. It has a lot to do with our correlation and relation with ourselves. I'm Dr. Paul, and I hope you reach out with any questions, comments, or thoughts. And I hope you take your time to understand who you are, where you are, and then where you're going, because that's very helpful. Be kind, be compassionate, and love and share.